What's up, Nail Geeks? I am back with Femme Fatale's Summer Days collection, which is inspired by the Australian painter Polly Kim's work, Summer Days. We have several different finishes and lots of warm tones to check out. So without further ado, let's dive right in. First up is Cicada Song. This is a spectacular neon glitter topper. This is packed with neon yellow hexes in various sizes and complemented with yellow iridescent glitters that flash golden green and shift to blue at angles in the light. So this is intended to be a 100% topper, as it's pretty difficult, and I also agree with, to build up to full opacity. So I'm showing you guys this over a nude base, and you can see here, I just did a little bit of careful placement with the brush, and I thought it looked really nice over that nude color. So overall, this has quite a bit of this super fun, glittery sort of mix. Now, I do want to note that when you go in with a glossy top coat, I would suggest a glitter smoothing top coat underneath. And next is Desert Oak. This is a tawny, warm crelly with a brown base filled with golden micro flakes and subtle shimmers. So this has a very crelly formula to me, and I think it builds up very quickly to opacity. It does start off just a touch on the softer side. There's a bit of a bounce when you are applying, and for opacity, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats depending on how you polish. Now, this base color is very much a warm sort of brown base. On myself, it definitely played up against my skin tones, and I feel like if you are warm to golden undertoned like myself, this is definitely going to take on a very neutral feel against your overall look. This also has quite a bit of golden flakes in it, so it gives this a stronger, warm type of undertone to it. And again, I'm going to suggest finishing off with a glossy top coat. And next is Gumnut. This is a deep aged green base that can lean blackish as opacity is built up. This also has a whimsical array of holographic micro flakes, holographic flecks, and soft copper glow. This is very pretty in person. This has a strong jelly-like finish during application, and for opacity, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats. I personally found that 2 coats was perfect. It's got this wonderful, very opaque, smooth sort of feel on the brush strokes. Very easy to build up. I could see some needing to go to that 3rd coat if you do polish very lightly, but overall, I think 2 to 3 coats, it's going to bring out that strong holographic and copper glow. And next is Honeyeater. This is a light, sheer olive brown toned warm base with pink to red to orange shifting overlay and holographic flakes. So this is another one that has just a touch of a lighter sort of start with it. I do feel like it has a subtle sort of crelly feel, kind of leaning a little bit more on the jelly side in terms of application. Now for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 to 3 coats. Again, this one starts off on the lighter side, but I found that a 3rd coat with it really helps to build up that base color, more of a full coverage effect. This is very glowy in person. I do think on myself, the base color leaned more of a neutral, almost being a somewhat flirting with being a nude on myself. And the shimmer is very strong and appears mostly as that pinky sort of cast that you're seeing on the video. And next is Lovegrass. This is a bright chartreuse jelly base packed with Turby lime holographic glitters and holographic accent. This is one of my favorites in the set. No surprise there, as it's a what I consider a full coverage micro glitter. Really packing a punch for sparkle. Now for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 to 3 coats. I personally took it to 2 coats and I thought it built up very well. And I'm going to strongly suggest going in with a glitter smoothing top coat underneath a glossy top coat, and you'll get so much glitter action. This is very sparkly and intense in person, and just overall very lovely. Now, I do agree with the official description that this color overall is definitely what I consider a true chartreuse. So right there with this limey sort of undertone, but also having this yellowish cast to it too. And next is Morning Haze. This is a yellow, creamy ivory when warm thermal base that shifts to a bright rosy pink when cold. This is filled with pale pink and silverish shimmers. So this is very reactive to temperature. At the point that I was swatching this one, it's been a rough few weeks. I have been so ill lately. I was actually running a bit of a fever when I worked on this collection. So you can see here it was just immediately transitioning over to the warm, more like a hot state on myself at this point, and no issues getting the temperature reactions on my nails. So very wonderful pigment there. Now this has a very curly formula to it, easy to build up, and depending on your preference, you might want to go in with a third coat. Now this dries down very, very harsh, almost as a matte, so I'm going to strongly suggest a glossy top coat to finish this one off. And you can see with the ice water shot, a really nice contrast between the warm and cool state. And next is Silvertop Ash. This is a grayed out purple base that is quite cool toned, filled with striking copper golden shimmers and holographic accent. So this one is kind of similar in my opinion to Gumnut, which was that greenish sort of holographic polish. This one is just the slightest bit of a lighter formula than that. So I'm going to suggest 3 coats for opacity on it. I think it really helped to bring out that base color. Very interesting sort of dusky, lavenderish sort of shade. There is quite a bit of this coppery sort of glow happening with it too, very strong, and the holographic pigment here is also strong as well. So lots of goodies happening with this, and you can see on that third coat just how easy it was to build it up and how smooth those brush strokes were. Now this dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat will be perfectly fine with it. And finally, we have Waratah. This is a perky, slightly pale tangerine crelly filled with matte magenta hexes in 2 sizes. So this has a very crelly formula. It's very smooth and plump and really creamy on application. Now for opacity, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats. I think 2 coats on myself was perfect. Now I also want to note that on this one, I did not use a glitter smoothing top coat, and after letting it dry down and I was working on my photographs, I did notice that it was just a little thirsty for top coat. So I'm going to strongly suggest don't make the mistake that I made and use a glitter smoothing top coat underneath your glossy top coat just to smooth everything out and prevent any sort of texture with those glitters, as this does dry down thirsty and a touch textured. And the April color of the month is Rainbow Sunstone. This is a sheer light fawn brown jelly base with a yellow undertone filled with rainbow iridescent flakes, small gray flakes, and some iridescent golden copper flakes. So this has a strong jelly finish to it. It does start off a touch light, and for opacity, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it just to build up the base color and maximize the flaky payoff on your nails. Now here you can see that this base is really warm, and I think on myself it leaned just a bit more as a neutral on me, almost having this really strong sort of, for lack of better words, pruggly sort of color with that undertone. Now as you build it up, especially on the third coat, you can see the strong sort of iridescent rainbow effects with all of the flakes here. Now again, I'm going to suggest finishing off with a glossy top coat just to get that juicy jelly sort of finish when you are done. And last but not least, we have the Fiend of the Month. This is Peppercorn Medley, described as a clear glitter topper filled with micro glitters in metallic red, antique bronze, brown, and copper. Now this one is intended to be a topper and not intended to be built up on its own unless you wanted to go in with sponging. So I selected a very deep chocolatey sort of brown cream base to wear this, kind of going along with that peppercorn theme. Really pretty, very easy to build to this very sparkly sort of layer over your undie. Now the Summer Days collection and the Fiend of the Month and the color of the month will be on pre-order through Femme Fatale's shop starting April 1st at 9 a.m. Australian time until April 5th at 9 p.m. Australian time. The Fiend of the Month is the only one that will not be available to stockists. So if you are wanting to join, you'll just have to make an account. There are instructions in the Facebook group, and I'll also link you guys to that as well if you want to see additional swatches, all that good stuff. And as always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.